In case you missed it, you're allowed to be hot, smart, and rich. So let's get into it. Aishwarya, are you ready to get hot, smart, rich?
Super ready.
I am so excited that you're here. Thank you for doing this.
Oh, thank you for having me. I heard Nat on the podcast, my friend Natalie Holloway, the founder of Bala, and her conversation was so real. It was on point. I'm like giving a shout out to her in that episode. But when that happened, I listened to it. I was a few weeks postpartum and I said, I have to go on this podcast.
No, and then you sent me a voice note. Yeah.
And I voice noted you.
And I was like, this is going to be one of the best conversations because you also never do podcasts.
No, I don't.
Okay, well, we always start our podcast with your consumption habits because we talk about money. Mm-hmm. So what's the last thing that you bought and the last most expensive thing that you bought? So think like, did you buy like a coffee today or something online? And then what's the last most expensive thing that you bought?
What did I buy online? I bought some shorts from Vineyard Vines, like some summer shorts.
Love it.
And then the most expensive thing that I bought recently, couple things. One, I bought a diamond necklace for myself. And then I got myself a Loewe bag as a gift for becoming a new mom.
I love that. I always buy myself a gift when I do like a big milestone. And I love that you didn't tie it just to like what you're doing in your career, your accolades. It's like the biggest thing you've ever done.
No, and maybe I'll give it to her one day. Oh. And I get to be like, here you go. She might be like, this is uncool now. Who knows where the cultural zeitgeist will be. But
now with every big expensive, you're like expensive purchase with your husband. Or you're like, it's for our daughter.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Okay. Do you remember the first one that we met?
When was the first time we met?
It was an event that I hosted for Sidecar, my portfolio company.
Yes.
And I remember you came in and you're such a mysterious founder because I think you've built such a big brand. Like you're literally the most well-known, if not the only well-known olive oil brand I feel like that people have in their homes. And you have such a mysterious founder profile. Don't take this the wrong way, but I feel like you've built Brightland to be so much bigger than you already are from a very early stage in the brand, which I think a lot of founders listening to this want to be able to do, but like they hear content is everything and like you need to be like at the face of the brand and have this social media profile. How do you feel like you built a brand that's bigger than you from the start?
I tap into what I think I know and I'm good at. So for me, it wasn't content and doing something online. It was being behind the scenes and being really intentional about building. And when I did say yes to things, whether it was press, whether it is a podcast here and there, like I love long form. That's why I'm so excited about this. Like if you were like, hey, let's do like Reels content for 30 seconds, I would really freeze up. It's not my jam. So what I tell founders is like, lean into what gets you going. And if you're excited to share your story in tidbits and you can talk really quickly and like be that firepower for your brand, do that. But don't think that that is the only way to build a successful brand. Let's also talk about the labor and who it falls on. It's mostly women founders.
Yeah.
Female CEOs who are expected to do this. There are incredible businesses, Chomps, Made in Cookware, Liquid Death, like I can keep going, consumer brands that are worth hundreds of millions of dollars, if not billions of dollars. Do you see their founder talking?
Never.
And do you see exactly? So why is it only women? Why do we have to talk about our makeup routine and look, if you're so passionate about that and it's not extra work, go for it, do it, and use that as your superpower because everyone at the end of the day is looking for audience. They're looking for relatability. And so lean into it. But if it's not, don't do it.
Why do you think that women founders have this pressure to build a personal brand and to show all of their life online and male founders don't?
I think about this a lot. I think that because we are so multifaceted and people are interested, women's media is interested in that. I think that the cultural zeitgeist has headed in the direction of being intrigued by a female founder. So I get it, but I don't know if it does any favors at the end of the day in terms of building your company.
Yeah, unless that's your superpower.
Unless that's your superpower. Yeah. But even then I would say, what if you could be recruiting a killer head of sales during that time? Mm-hmm. What if you could be really digging into your P&L during that time? Mm-hmm. Like, are there bigger and better uses of your time? So it's always a time toss-up.
Yeah.
And then from the beginning, I think I've shared this with you before, I always said, Brightland is so much bigger than me, and I'm also so much bigger than Brightland. Let's talk about that.
Well, that was going to be one of my questions is like, I think a lot of founders make their entire brand their personality, right? Yeah. And then when you think about even wanting to make a change or you pivot or you go through this huge life moment, like becoming a mom or getting married, like even for me right now, I'm finding like this really big sense of pull and push between like what I've been known for and really wanting to like live in this joy that I have for the first time, like getting all these big life moments. We're so quick to wrap our identity into what we do and who we are as people. And I feel like you're one of the first founders that has built such a strong brand without wrapping your personal identity in being the Brightland founder.
Yeah.
How do you suggest somebody separates who they are from what they do?
Oh gosh. I mean, early on, I would have said, oh, I'm just figuring it out day by day. What I will say in the last 2 years is I dove deep into spirituality and ultimately came to the realization of the question of who am I? What am I? If you chopped off my arms, am I still Aishwarya? You'd say yes. If we also chopped off my legs, am I still Ash? Yeah. If you poked my eyes out, am I still me? Yeah. So then what makes me me? Like that's the big question, right?
Yeah.
And it's so many things. It's not just Brightland is me, I'm Brightland. That feels so reductive. It feels frankly trite. And I feel like I have so much more to offer to the world. I can be an enthusiast of all kinds of things. My mission and purpose in this world is to like be in awe of the world around us and the beauty of nature. Like that is truly what I think I'm here for.
Do you think that your mission is bigger than your company?
Oh, of course.
But it's so interesting because you're one of the first people, like when I ask like your why, it always leads back to the company is usually people's answers. How did you get into that 2 years ago? Because that feels like a really big thing to go after. And someone listening to this will feel like very overwhelmed with what you're saying. How did you start on that journey 2 years ago?
I think it was feeling a little bleak, honestly.
Like you were just in the rat race?
In the rat race, but I would say even though I didn't tie up my identity to Brightland, there was still this feeling of, well, this is it, right? And then there's like, no, but there's so much more. But what is more? What does that mean? And it's not monetary, and it's not the accolades, because at some point, all of that becomes just in the background. You know, you can get into every press feature, every featured by everything, and that's so amazing and wonderful. And I hope that people who do attain those things get to sit and relish in them, but it's just momentary. So then what do we have left? All we have is the here and now. So in order to get there though, I started reading Eckhart Tolle. I started watching Sadhguru. I started meditating for 10 minutes a day using the Open app. And I got to this place, and it was maybe like 6 to 8 months of just like, that was my hobby. And I felt more and more connected to everything around me. And I started feeling like, oh my God, all I have is the here and now. The past doesn't matter and the future hasn't happened yet. So what am I doing? What are we all doing here?
Had you raised money for your company when you were going through that?
Yeah, I already had. And then I raised again.
What was your investor base's impression of that? Because I can only imagine, I've been around a lot of direct consumer investors and they're very like push harder and go faster and grow.
Yeah.
And so for them to have a founder who's like, I only have the here and now, the past, like, you know, it can sound very like, is this real? Is this founder serious?
Yep.
So I guess walk me through those conversations with your venture capitalists who were like, that's great that that's what you do in your hobby, but we want you to build this business to be a multi-billion-dollar exit.
Yeah. It's almost easier because I'm able to say, hey, well, I'm in the present more than ever. I'm paying attention to my team. Every word matters. I'm listening more than I speak. I'm taking all of the lessons and I'm operating like a calm ship. I'm not rattled. We don't run a chaotic company. So I think that it has just dialed us in.
Did you have any investors push back on you?
No. If anything, people were delighted.
Are most of your investors female?
Some, but I have plenty of male investors.
I feel like this is music to a lot of people's ears because they want to live especially women, a slow life in this fast-paced world. They want to be able to do exactly what you've done, which is build this brand where like when you go into a room and you're like, I'm the founder of Brightland, and they're like, that's Oprah's favorite olive oil, and you've been on all of these big TV shows. They have no understanding of how to do that, living a slow life or a non-chaotic organization. What are some of the practices that someone listening to this can implement into their company tomorrow if that's their goal?
I think simple things. When you get into a meeting, if you've been back to back to back, get into a meeting, say, hey guys, we're going to take 30 seconds. Let's just breathe in and out. And let's just pause for 1 second, 30 seconds, 15 seconds. Let's clear our heads. All right, now I see you, you see me. I'm not thinking about what was the meeting that I just came off of. You're not running around being like, feeling chaotic, and we can move things forward. So then things are more efficient. We move faster. Decisions are clearer. And you're not just waffling around. Because at the end of the day, don't get me wrong, we're still pushing like crazy, right? I raised my Series A in November, 8 months pregnant. We have grown tremendously in the last couple of years. We just launched an entirely new product line. We're launching in Whole Foods this fall. I'm not just like, la-di-da, like this is really nice. I'm meditating and like my company is just like growing like a snail. That's not happening. But the two things can be true facet at the same time. That changed my life too. Two things can be true. You can meditate and remember that the here and now is all we have. And you can also say, I'm going to look at this like a huge game or like an orchestra, whatever analogy you need to push forward. And I'm going to push myself and my team really hard to achieve our goals.
I feel like you're one of the only brands that really prioritizes true creativity, like even having your paint bottles. Like that was just if you think about it, that would be such an unscalable thing to so many people.
Yeah.
You've really prioritized creativity since you started building the brand. How does that translate to sales?
Oh, it's the bedrock of everything. Like there's a reason why we've built a mid-8-figure brand, because I've been able to take those elements that you said, the magic, and then you apply it and you layer on top. And you layer it with performance. You layer it with really strong tactical sales. You know, I think it's not just, we came out with something really whimsical. We're opening it up to the world and not doing anything about it. There's a full marketing flywheel. There's sales funnels. There's all of the foundational elements that are needed for a growing, fast-growing, amazing business. But it needs a soul.
Yeah.
Otherwise, then what are we doing? It's more saturated than ever. You know this as an investor. You're getting pitches as sometimes angel investing, like I get pitches from 20 brands that are doing the same exact thing. So how do you cut through the noise? The only way is how do you build brand soul and some kind of emotion?
Talking about the saturation, you've never publicly commented on what happened in 2023. There was a New York Times article written about this, the olive oil wars. A founder in your lane decided to go on LinkedIn and basically rip you and your brand apart for copying him.
Yep.
You've never said anything.
Yeah.
Can you walk through what happened and your first opinion on it publicly?
Yeah, I've never, ever talked about this before. So in May of 2023, we introduced something called a pizza oil. And it is a delicious oil, perfect for your pizza, for topping over pizza slices. So it has a blend of jalapeno, oregano, rosemary, garlic, basil. It's stellar. Originally, we're known for our iconic glass bottles, right? Mm-hmm. And so originally we were going to put it in a glass bottle. And I remember being with my team, this was probably late 2022 or early 23. And we had this clunky glass bottle and we all had pieces of pizza and we were like pouring it over. And we were like, this looks so stupid. Something seems really off about the pour and the application. And somebody brought up Mike's Hot Honey, which is a hot honey brand that's drizzled over pizza a ton. And they were like, oh, they use like squeeze. And we even talked about, I love teddy bears. Like that's one of my things is like, I am a teddy bear. I love teddy bears. And so I was like, oh, maybe we just put it in a teddy bear squeeze. And like the team was like, that makes no sense. And then we were like, okay, well, why don't we put it in a squeeze that isn't a teddy bear, but is a better use case for casual pizza, pizza night at your home, whatever. And so that's what we did. And then we introduced it direct to consumer in May of 2023. And the day of launch, I woke up, and usually launch days, I wake up a little earlier because we've like announced it in some way, or we've sent an email, something has happened. And I woke up and I saw all these text messages from founders being like, don't listen to the noise, you got this. And I was like, excuse me? So I texted a founder back, and he wrote back and was like, check your LinkedIn. And so I went onto LinkedIn and I saw this other founder who is in the olive oil space had written this like tirade about how they were the ones that invented the squeeze bottle and how dare we come out with a squeeze bottle. And I just sat there and I was reading through it and I was like, whoa, his feelings are so hurt. So my very first thing was like, oh my gosh, I feel so sorry for you. I'm so sad for you that's what you think. Like, this is the game we're in. And you are so offended by the game. Like, I'm so sorry. So, and saddened.
You didn't feel any sense of like that gut feeling of like, oh my God, like, are people mad at me?
Eventually. Well, let me, okay. I'll get to it. So it was like it was a whole cycle. So that was the first feeling. And then the second feeling was, okay, how do I respond? Do I clap back? Because, okay, let's be clear. Squeeze bottles have existed for 50, 60 years. Look, if a founder had put olive oil in tea bags and come up with a revolutionary way, patented proprietary technology, and we just totally ripped that off, even then I would argue, is anything ownable, right? But when it's something so silly, like that's like being upset that another beauty founder put blush in a round box or a round jar.
Yeah.
I was like, I kept thinking about the olive oil in the tea bags. I was like, if they had put olive oil in a tea bag, maybe would this make sense? So I was thinking about that. Should I respond? That was the next thing, because I started seeing people commenting on the LinkedIn post. And I saw a couple of founders be like, this is not proprietary. Squeeze bottles have existed for decades. Who are you kidding? And then I saw a couple of supporters saying, I'm so glad you're calling this out. Founders are getting, like, businesses are getting copied all the time. I'm so glad you're saying something. And so I was like, okay, in the year of 2023, what does one do? Do I like clap back really hard? Do I go on
female
TikTok?
Diversity founder?
Right. Do I clap back? Do I go onto TikTok and be like, do a green screen and be like, can you fucking believe this? And Ariana Grande showed up in my head of like, and Mariah Carey actually, when she was asked about Ariana like 15 years ago, like, oh, there's a woman who sounds just like you. And, you know, what do you think? She was like, I don't know who that is. And I remember being like, I don't think I know who this is. I don't know you. Okay.
And you don't know me.
Exactly. We've never spoken. It wasn't a private note that was sent to me. Right. And I was like, I've never seen you, spoken to you. I know nothing about your business. Who are you? And then I also thought about Michelle Obama. When they go low, we go high. And I thought, oh, this is a tantrum. How do I respond to a tantrum? Do I throw in myself? Or do I say, you know what? My team is looking at me. My investors are looking at me. It's time for me to have the best launch day ever and keep things moving. And that's exactly what I did. And I was so amazed to see the number of founders who I didn't send a single message to anybody saying, hey, I want you to speak up for me, say something. But I think when you build goodwill and reputation, it comes back to you in spades. And I saw it play out. I saw dozens, maybe hundreds of founders and other people in the CPG world be like, what are you talking about, dude? Like, you're out of your mind. And then the media thing started. And that was kind of like, it was this LinkedIn thing, a little bit on social media, and then got the New York Post, Daily Mail, Inc. reached out, Entrepreneur Magazine, Fast Company, and then the New York Times reached out. And I was like, oh my God, should I say something? But at that point, it had been maybe 24 hours, 12 to 24 hours. And I was getting messages from investors saying, oh my gosh, you're so poised. This is so classy behavior. We're so proud to be backing you. I'm loving this. And so I continued with it because I was like, yeah, that's my natural inclination is to operate in this way. So I'm going to operate with my natural inclination. But I will tell you towards the end of it, like right around the New York Times covering it, and it felt like this over, on Twitter, I typed in the names of the two brands and it was just hundreds of comments of people being like, mostly laughing at this person, but also having commentary saying, I wonder if the founder of Brightland is going to say anything. I did have moments where I was like, should I say something? Is it bold? Am I being patted on the back for being demure? And really like, poised and quiet. And so I've since reflected. So ultimately what happened is this founder, I guess, wrote an apology.
Within like a few days.
Within a couple of days, they wrote an apology. I never received an email or a note ever from them. So I never received one when it originally happened, and I never received an apology. So they drafted and wrote, probably from their PR team, like an apology of sorts. And then the world moved on and it was fine. But I did reflect on it and think, I did kind of get bullied, and I stayed quiet.
Online bullied in front of like everybody in this space.
Yep.
Yeah. You've never talked to them since?
No, never.
That is crazy.
Never.
I just, when it was happening, like, and it was so interesting because one of the things I was going to talk to you about was when the New York Times, which I reread in preparation for this interview, there was a lot of founders of big companies like Hero Cosmetics that came out and were like, this is business. Like, I have 1 million people that are copying what I'm doing, and like, we have to keep it moving, keep innovating.
Yes.
And I think now more so than ever, like, it's so easy to start a brand, right?
Yep.
And you can think as much as your idea is proprietary or has something special to it, 9 times out of 10, unless you literally have defensible IP, you are winning on brand or like on the product. Yep. Going through what you've been through and knowing that like you actually haven't won based on having this like amazing personal brand and like this crazy distribution, what would you tell a founder that's going through something like that now that feels like their identity is being ripped off, like because it's a part of them, their company, and like how can they learn from what you've been through and being on the other side 2 years later?
Yeah, if I could write a LinkedIn post for every brand that has ripped Brightland off, I would still be writing a post every single day. Since we launched, I don't know, 5-6 years ago, we have been ripped off by hundreds of people in our space directly and adjacent. Yeah. And I've been told that Brightland is one of the most mood board, like every design agency, whatever, like Brightland is on that mood board. And if a founder were to come to me and say, oh my gosh, I think I'm being copied, or they're stealing like my copy, like copyright, copy that I'm writing, or my vibe, or even the look and feel, I'd say, buckle up, baby. Welcome to the game. This is the way it works, and it's your job to keep pushing things forward. And if you're also not looking around, for us, it was a moment of, wow, people are gravitating towards a squeeze bottle. And after we came out with the pizza oil, it became so successful, I asked our customers personally who bought our squeeze bottles with the pizza oil, and I was like, what else do you want to see from Brightland? And guess what they said? They said, I want more stuff at an accessible price point in squeeze bottles from you guys. With your look, your California ethics, your commitment to quality and integrity, we want to see that. And so we redid our entire supply chain and worked really hard to bring that out for people and debut that, which was what we've done. But had I just lived with my head in the sand and not looking around, like, I think that's just crazy.
It's so funny because even for me, like, I always have blinders on. Like, I know that there's other people that are out there like doing the same thing. Yep. And for me, as soon as I start to feel triggered, I mute somebody. I even do this in my personal life. So like when I first started dating my boyfriend, I muted his stories right away, which a lot of people were like, don't you want to see what he's doing, what he's like? And I was like, no, because I want to get to know him in person versus like the online version of him. And it actually helped me not create stories in my head. So I think for anybody that has that like trigger, it's like, just mute it. Because if you don't know what's happening, it's so interesting as a creator. I actually don't consume as much content as people think. I create more content than I'm consuming.
Oh, that's beautiful. You should say that out loud 50 times over. Yeah. Because I think what holds a lot of people back too is they are over consuming and they're not creating enough.
Yeah.
HSR girls are all about drinkable skincare in 2025. Yes, drinkable. This is not just another step in your skincare routine, because the HSR girlies don't have time for that. This is the foundation for clear, bright, beautiful radiance. And it tastes amazing. The Radiant Skincare Duo from Peak combines the power of 2 standout products that work synergistically to protect, nourish, and transform your skin. Yes, you are going to be drinking Sun Goddess Matcha for clear skin because it is packed with EG/CG antioxidants that help firm, brighten, and clarify your skin, all while giving you that calm, sustained energy you need to keep it moving to meet your goals. Next, the BT Fountain Electrolytes. You just add this to your water to hydrate your body at a cellular level, reduce redness, and smooth out those fine lines. For a limited time, Peak is offering 20% off the Radiant Skin Duo, plus a free starter kit, which includes a rechargeable frother and glass beaker. When you shop with this exclusive link, peaklife.com/HSR20 for 20% off. That is PIQUE life.com/HSR20 for 20% off. Let's be honest, founders, returns are a nightmare for business. If you're scaling a Shopify brand, you already know the costs I'm talking about. Sky-high refund rates, constant return fraud, and rising shipping costs that eat into your margins. And that's where Freight comes in. Freight is a returns platform built exclusively for Shopify brands, already trusted by brands like Caraway and Monos to flip returns from a cost center into a growth lever. They're not just reducing returns, they're redesigning them completely. With instant and one-click exchanges that increase LTV, AI-powered fraud detection that screens worn items before they ship, and peer-to-peer returns that eliminate unnecessary shipping trips, Freight's making returns feel profitable. One brand cut refunds by 21%, saving $900,000. And the brands using Freight retain more cash and convert more customers, period. So if you're ready to turn your returns into revenue, head to Freight.com and tell them Hot Smart Rich sent you for an exclusive offer and white glove service. That's FRATE.com and tell them Hot Smart Rich sent you.
I think one of the the biggest blessings that I had a few years ago going through this big change was like really diving back into my childhood and like what made me me. And that was like the thing that I think found my adult self was figuring out like what was I like as a kid? How can I get back to that? And then figuring out how do I now make that a practice in my life and not just like a one-off thing? What are the things that you do as a founder with all of the demands going on, all of the competition that's happening to like remain sane?
I would say there was a point in time where I kept saying, let's water our own garden. Let's not pay too much attention to what other people are doing. And I still believe that to be true. We shouldn't obsess over what other people are doing. But look, if somebody's doing something really cool, let's take a page out of that book, right? But let's also keep pushing the ball forward. Let's not look at around so much that we lose sight of who we are and what we're about. Like the paint and pour set is a perfect example of what we talked about. No one in our space, let alone like no one in CPG, let alone in our space, was even thinking about doing something like that. And we decided to move the ball forward and say, hey, let's innovate in this way and let's do something really creative and interesting. I delete Instagram constantly. And I love talking about it because I think it's a huge unlock.
Wait, I was literally just about to say this. Your bio says inspired to live life offline.
Yes.
How do you do that?
Yeah. I delete Instagram almost every weekend. Not always, but quite a lot. And my brain gets cleared. It's like I'm clearing tabs. You know, like we all have our laptops. Sometimes we got to give that laptop, that poor baby, a break. We got to turn it down. We got to maybe close all the tabs. Let's close all the tabs in our brain. We're looking at more imagery than we ever have. Humans. We are also looking at ourselves more than we ever have. It was only a couple thousand years ago that the mirror was invented. Until then, we were all looking at the water to look at our reflection. So we saw this beautiful hazy creature. And then the only way that we saw ourselves was through the eyes of somebody else. Like you're looking at me with so much attentiveness and so much, like presence right now. I'm loving it. I feel so beautiful in your presence. But if that was the only thing that I saw, imagine how I would feel rather than being like, okay, this happened. And then I'm looking at 1,000 other images of other people and then myself. It is cluttering our minds. And as founders and creatives and creators, we're not meant to be looking at that much.
As a deeply creative person who's constantly on people's mood boards, if you're not consuming content like most people are, that's a sign. where are you finding that creative inspiration? Like if you're thinking around a new campaign or a new product or a new thing, like where do you go and find that then?
Oh, in real life. I'll go to a newsstand, like the Larchmont Village has a newsstand, and I'll grab some like random French, Italian magazines and I'll look through them. I'll look at car ads. I'll go to the museum and I'll find a color. Or, you know, one of our products a couple of holidays ago was inspired by a Gucci campaign. We've done things that we've been inspired by, you know, food, beauty. We've done some photo shoots when we came out with our chili oil. I looked at photo shoots. I forgot the brand, but they had broken down the lip gloss and everything to kind of like, and it was really saturated, really interesting. And I said, oh, let's do that with the chili oil. Let's do that. Like, let's make it look like a beauty shoot. But it doesn't have to be through Instagram. We can do that through magazines. We can do it through things that are tactile. And then we can also do it through giving our brain a break, because sometimes like the breakthrough comes through in the pause.
You've also kept a lot of your personal life off of Instagram, off of just news in general. So switching gears a little bit to you being a new mom of like 5 or 6 months, that was a decision that you decided to keep extremely personal, extremely private. Did anybody know that you were pregnant, like even in your personal life, your family?
My family knew. My close friends who I talk to often in real life knew. People who I knew from the online world, I don't think anyone knew.
I had no idea.
Right.
Why did you decide to keep your pregnancy a secret?
Well, it wasn't by design. I will say it was a tough pregnancy. Well, first of all, let's take a step back. I've been married for 10 years, and 9 of those years, we weren't sure we wanted kids, / we were in the no camp, actually. We said, you know what? I think we can build a beautiful life without bringing life into this world. Both my husband and I were having a hard time wrapping our head around, why do people do this? Why does everybody do this? Life is so lovely. Like, we have our dogs. We have a really calm, wonderful life. I'm building a company. Like, I don't know. It just seemed, I couldn't wrap my head around it. And then when I started doing the spiritual work, I started unraveling, okay, what is it about the act of maybe doing this that's holding me back? And it came back to fear. And I was like, oh my God, if I were able to get over my fear of starting a company and like things that I'm highly unqualified to do, why do I have this fear around one of the potentially most beautiful things that I could do? So I had to like work on the unleashing of that fear, and at the same time reconcile with, because by the time like I decided to do this, I was 37, 38, so in my late 30s. And there's a chance that, you know, I never froze my eggs. I never did any of that. So there was a chance that it wouldn't pan out too. So I had to look within and say, will I be okay living a life with it or without it? And ultimately, everything is hard and everything is beautiful at the same time.
Yeah.
That is life. You do it. You start the company, it's hard. You don't start it, life is also hard. Life is challenging and wonderful and mysterious, all of the words we want to use, no matter what. And so the minute that really sunk in for me, I was like, I feel really free. Whether it happens, if it happens, groovy. If it doesn't happen, groovy. I'll live a meaningful life. And now that's not everybody's perspective. Some people want to have a child so badly, you know, so I'm not speaking to those people in this moment, right? Like that may not resonate. But for someone who's sort of ambivalent, I would recommend that they like dig deep within themselves.
Well, it's interesting. So before my partner now, I wasn't sure if I wanted to either. And I think it wasn't just around the fear. It was around not being ready to share that with the right person and being really, honestly, I wanted to be selfish. And I think everything in life is like timing too. Yep. But it's interesting hearing you say that, because now I'm in the camp where I'm like, I would feel robbed if I didn't get that experience because I want it so badly. But it's interesting as somebody that didn't want kids, and it would break my mom's heart. Like, she would literally be like, you will be such an amazing mother. You have so much to give. And I was like, I can make an impact in a different way. Yep. And then I think when I met the right person, that's when I was like, oh, I want to do this with you. Not just like, I just didn't want to do it to do it. Yep. Which I think is very abnormal for women to say out loud.
It is so abnormal to say out loud. I mean, I didn't say, out loud, hey, I'm not interested in having a kid. But those around me knew. And then when I started thinking about it the other way, I'm not going to lie, I did have a moment where I was like, oh my gosh, the pendulum's swinging. Am I silly? And the minute I started thinking like, am I silly? What are people going to think? I was like, hang on. These are the things that you thought when you were going to start Brightland and you were scared to. You were like, what is so-and-so going to think? Or am I going to be seen as silly? And that feeling of perception, right? We're not that important. And like this goes all the way back to even creating content. If that's somebody's jam, but they're nervous about other people seeing it. I know you have your 5 things that you say. People are not looking at us that much. It's okay.
This is the one thing that I have realized is like, people don't care about you.
They don't care.
Like, they don't even know what you're doing.
No.
It's only like, how many times does somebody have to see a message of Brightland to like be able to actually buy it? Like 10 to 50?
15 times. Yeah.
Like they need to be able to see it multiple times. But people are not watching what you're doing. If you're afraid of doing something, people don't care.
No, they don't. And if they care, that's on them. That says more about them. Those are the things that they need to unravel and untangle. But we got to keep moving and live our biggest, fullest lives.
Okay, so take me back. So you decide after 10 years that you're like, or after 9 years,
Yep.
I think I want to start to try to have a baby with my husband.
Yep.
Where did you go from there?
We did a fertility sort of test because I was older and
Was he older?
yeah.
Okay.
He's in his early 40s.
Okay.
So I started with me and it was like, oh yeah, I think you have like a 6 to 8% chance. It was one of those companies too that do that, like they really push you towards IVF. And they were like, yeah, I think there's like a 6 to 8% chance. And I was like, okay, let's see what happens. And lo and behold, I think like 5 months into just whatever,
Having
it
fun.
happened. Yeah, it happened. And I was like, okay, I felt stoic. Like I was like, all right, let's see what the world and the universe wanted this. Let's rock and roll and see what happens. And then I got hit with like first trimester, second trimester nausea, just like deep. Like I would describe it as like feeling hungover on a ship for 24 hours a day. And that's how it felt.
For 6 months?
For 6 months. And so those are the things that really like, I was like, oh, whoa. I felt deeply humbled. I felt in awe of women. And then also, women are so capable of so much. I raised money during that time. I hired more people on my team. I went on national TV multiple times. Like we are capable of so much. And so there was also this part of me that was like, oh my gosh, I can do a lot.
But even though you felt terrible the whole time?
Yeah.
And is that why you chose to keep it a secret?
I think in that moment, I was thinking the people who need to know. Mm-hmm. I don't know what I would say because I have so much to say about it. Like I get to talk about it in its full, with the fullest picture with you right now. How can I encapsulate that in a post or sharing with people online? I just didn't think I could.
So now that you're 6 months into motherhood, what has that been like for you?
It's like another dimension opens. And I see why people do it. It's the same feeling. It makes total sense why the world wants to do this. Because the feeling when you look at your babies in the eyes and they're smiling at you is actually the same feeling you get once you achieve a certain level of meditation. It's this like blissed out, momentary, like here and now, there's nothing else around you. It's like, shoo, like that feeling. I think people feel that when they're sometimes in the flow, like cooking, maybe going on a run. So I think there are multiple ways to get there, but those are all much more challenging, right? Versus like not that having a baby is not challenging, but it's the most biological, very natural thing for people to do. And you get it so many times, like anytime you're looking at them in the eye and they're just like smiling at you. So it makes sense.
When you're figuring out prioritization and you're looking at that baby and like I actually saw this really interesting article the other day that was like 50% of women, if they didn't have to, wouldn't work while they were a new mom. When you're figuring out prioritization of where you're going to spend your time and you're looking at this baby that's giving you this feeling of like pure consciousness and
Yeah.
love.
Yeah.
And then you're going and looking at your email inbox that has like 300 unread emails
Yeah.
and people angry and trying to talk about their feelings, and you're a CEO, and then you have investors being like, what happened with here? And retailers being like, you've missed your order PO date. Like, how do you rationalize with like being able to do both?
Oh, it's all a mental mindset at the end of the day. Well, first of all, I don't proclaim to do it alone. In the same way that with the team, I'm not coming in being like, I'm the savior of Brightland. I'm our head of marketing and our head of ops. I also do our finance. No, we have experts for all of those things. And I get to be a coach and a leader and empower people, hold them accountable, and move the ball forward. I look at it the same way, which was such a really freeing moment for me when I was like, oh my God, I can also build my home life in that same way. My partner is extremely involved. There's no like, oh, he's babysitting while I'm taking care of the kids. We both are equal caretakers in it. And he understands, like, I had him read the things I read, watch the things I watched. We talked about, hey, I went through this for 9 months with my body and with my mind and hormones and everything. So for 9 months, there are things like I don't change that many diapers, if any. Like, that was something we talked about. And I was like, all right, yeah, at least 9 months of that. Why should I? Why should I? That doesn't make sense. So it was really honest, open conversation. And he was like, yeah, you're right. If I was pregnant, I would say the same thing to you too. I'd be like, hey, I'm going to take a break on that. That's not enjoyable for me. So I'd love for you to take that share on. So things like that. And then look, like, this is privileged, but from the very first day, like, she came home from the hospital, and day 2, we had a night nanny. We have a nanny during the day. I'm not trying to like look at her and coo at her and also answer emails. I'm dialed in with work. I'm my best self. And then when I feel like wrapping things up, she's there and I get to spend time with her. And I want her to be proud of that. I want it to be like, oh my God, my mom does something she loves and she's cool. She's awesome. Not like, oh my God, honey, I'm so sorry. Mom has to work. We're not doing that. This is a privilege to build a business. So I'm going to take it upon myself to also have that reflected in my own world and for her to see that too.
It's so interesting that you say that, because I feel like we look up to the people that parent us so much. My dad would always say, like, if you want to make real money, like, go and be an entrepreneur. But like, I was never really close to entrepreneurship. And it's interesting because I always say this with my sister, like, I was the one that really took the leap first, right? Like, it was like, leave your salary, leave a corporate job, leave your healthcare insurance and benefits. And like, it was really scary, especially for me as an immigrant who like didn't have a visa to live here. I was like, am I going to get kicked out? Like, what is going to happen? And it's interesting because my sister, it took her like a year of me building and like having something real and having something that like definitely is not where it is now, but like, it had a vision. What I'm doing in this seat is exactly what I thought I was going to be doing, but like, it was so not there yet. And it's interesting because I always try to think back of like, how did I learn that? How did I get that? I don't actually know how that came to be, but I guess like now being an entrepreneur and being a parent, like, what do you hope that your daughter learns from you that you think are the best benefits of being an entrepreneur?
Oh my God. Resilience is everything. Multiple things can be true at the same time. Goodness. All we have is the here and now. Hard work is non-negotiable, but don't expect the world to come with a platter on the other side of it.
What's been the hardest moment for you building Brightland?
I think when things with the team, when we've had to make a call that, you know, this isn't working out with somebody, or they choose to leave and we weren't ready yet. In some cases, it's been like a great fit on all sides. Hey, this is, you know, you've come so far here. The business has come so far because of you. You're on to your next thing. So happy for you. Goodbye. When it's not that and it's the other things, which more often than not, it's the other things, that's hard. That weighs on you. Yeah, that's really tough. So I would say that's one. And then the second one is there are so many unknown unknowns, way more unknown unknowns than I would have imagined. And we're not trying to put olive oil in D bags over here. This is very elementary. At least that's what I thought. But it's not. And it gives me so much perspective and I have grace and admiration for anyone doing anything, including the chair we're sitting in, that table, Fiji or Fuji water, whatever. Like everybody is looking at the details and trying to just make incremental, incremental benefits or make things just better, incrementally a little better. And I'm really in awe of that because it is really tough.
What's the hardest thing that you've ever gone through as a mom?
I feel silly being like, she's fabulous.
But I think that's good to talk about too, because I think so many women listening, myself included, I said this very vulnerably at the retreat. Like, I've been so focused on knowing, like, even bringing this to fruition, like sitting here with you, this podcast, this thing that I've built, which was like really the first of its kind, being like investing in media and like democracy. Like, it's so interesting because I've always had a plan. And I think motherhood is the first thing that, like, I do not have a plan. I do not know what to expect. I'm deeply terrified of it. I'm also deeply excited for it, like to be known as a mom. And I was actually funny. I was listening to a podcast with the former PepsiCo president, who also is from India.
Inder Nui.
Yes.
Yeah,
and
I love her.
Did you ever hear the story of when she gets promoted to the president of Pepsi and she gets home and her mother is taking care of the kids and she's like wanting to share good news, and literally the mom was like, so irrelevant, like, don't talk to me about that. Leave your crown in the garage. Like, you are a mother here, you are a daughter here, you are a sibling here, you are not the president of Pepsi here. And I think stories like yours where it's like, yes, this was a very tough pregnancy, but like you are just basking in this joy is also so important for women like me to hear, to know that it's not all scary.
Yeah.
But in that same breath, it's like when we were at the retreat, you were like, I don't know if there will be a second one for me because of what it was like.
Yeah.
Why did you say that?
I said it because the pregnancy was really tough, and I'm not a person who enjoys physical discomfort.
Okay. I love that.
And then birth also was hard, and the recovery was hard. So as someone who, my parents told me recently that I used to, when I was learning how to crawl, I would pick my knees up because I didn't want to scrape my knees. So that's what we're talking about. We're talking about the girl who doesn't like needles, would never get a tattoo, avoided the dentist, like that person going through this very physically taxing. And that's why I'm even more in awe of women, because women just, they rock and roll. They like push through it. And so because of that, I think, and I feel so fabulous about my daughter. I'm like, I think this might be perfect.
Yeah.
Like, I did it. I was able to do it. Great. Let's keep moving. And let's enjoy every single moment with her that we can.
What do you tell yourself when you see somebody making a decision where you're like, I wouldn't do that, or I wouldn't put her in that, or I wouldn't do this at the company? Like, how do you calm yourself off of the ledge from jumping in and trying to micromanage a situation?
It depends on what it is. If it is truly, like, I will take a step back really quickly and assess, is this going to be something that's going to have severe consequences? Oh, she may be allergic and you're trying to feed her peanut butter. If it's something like that, step in.
Right.
Or if for the business, if it's something that could be detrimental. Exactly. Step in immediately and say, hey, have we thought about this? Hey, let's just quick pause. If not, like, let it ride.
Yeah.
Otherwise, the people who we bring around us, whether in work or in our personal lives, are going to be like, oh my God, you think you can do it so well? You do it. And also it makes people complacent. Then they look to us for all of the answers. So we're doing we're thinking for multiple people. No, if I'm bringing you in, and I say this to my team, if you are being hired at my company and you're even an intern, whatever we're hiring you for, you better be better at it than me.
So smart.
If that's my job, my job is to hire the best of the best. I can rest on my laurels saying I hired the best person, but I don't get intimidated or insecure. Like, I've heard of people saying that they're insecure that, oh, I brought on a really senior role and they know so much more. Amazing. You had the foresight to bring that person in. Awesome. And they're on the journey with you.
Wow.
Otherwise, I'm going to be trying to be the best of everything. And all these people are going to be like, all right, well, then you can do the job.
So true. We need to do some rapid fires.
Yay.
You can only pick one for the rest of your life.
Okay.
Pasta or pizza?
Definitely pizza.
What's your go-to order?
My go-to order is a cheese pizza with jalapenos and pineapple, and then pouring Brightland pizza oil on top.
Okay, I love it. Cooking at home or eating out?
I would say eating out, actually. Yeah, I'm a restaurant person. I mean, I love cooking at home. We do it a lot, but I love dining out culture. I love restaurants. I love the lighting and people watching and the music, and yeah, I love it.
What's your favorite restaurant for LA?
I love a restaurant in downtown LA called La Cita. It's in Chinatown. It's this fabulous Filipino spot that has killer natural wine, great food, and it's always a good vibe.
Love that. Spring or fall harvest?
Spring, for sure.
What's like the go-to in the spring?
Oh, I love like a lot of basil oil from Brightland, asparagus, some really nice strawberries, like start of strawberry season. Yeah, it's really, I don't know, verdant.
0 inbox or 0 on your calendar?
I think I have 16,000 emails. I'm like that person. Probably 0 inbox.
You'd rather 0 inbox?
Yeah.
You like to be booked and busy.
Yes.
I think I know the answer, but live TV or TikTok?
Live TV.
Do you love live TV?
I do love live TV.
I think you'd be really good at it.
I think thank you. Oh my God. I love it. I also think there's something about, I wish that Brightland had existed in the 80s, or that I was old enough to like launch Brightland in the 80s. I love catalogs. I love TV. There's something.
Have you guys ever tried stuff like catalogs?
Yeah, we've done holiday catalogs.
Okay.
We love doing them.
Love it. I feel like you guys need a magazine, like a Martha Stewart magazine.
Dream.
Like you need that.
Yep.
If you could have a celebrity chef cook for you every single night, who would it be?
Ina Garten.
Tell me more.
Oh my God. I mean, she's so classic. She would have a killer sense of humor. I think that she would like open a bottle of wine in between. Nothing would be too precious, but at the same time, it would be beautiful and elegant and lovely, but perfectly imperfect. And I know that I would walk into something like the dinner would look timeless.
What do you think is a wellness trend that we should not be buying into?
Oh, I mean, the protein thing, I'm a little bit, yes, let's make sure we're getting the right amount of protein and let's be thoughtful about how we're getting it. But I'm seeing brands that are like stuffing protein into something that's already not healthy.
Agreed.
Like a candy bar or
chips, popcorn.
Yeah, I'm a little bit I'm unease about that.
Honestly,
I feel unease about that.
My thing with food is just eating what I can pronounce.
I love that.
And it was actually really interesting because I do love a bar on the go because obviously I have celiac. So like it's hard sometimes to eat when you're on the go. I was actually loving looking at the ingredients of BTR bars that we were just with because I can actually pronounce everything that's in her bar.
But that's so rare. She's
So
one of
rare.
the few people with a bar company and you turn it around and you're like, oh, there's like 7 ingredients in this.
Well, did you hear about this whole drama with like David's and like them buying this ingredients bar? And I'm like, I can't pronounce any of the things that are going into this bar.
Yep.
Like, why would I want to be eating this bar that I can't pronounce the ingredients of?
Well, and on top of it, I heard that it doesn't pass through the human body.
No.
It doesn't really digest in you, that sole ingredient that makes it so low in calories, 0 sugar. Like there's an ingredient called EPG or EPG.
That's what they just bought the supply chain for.
Right.
And there's like all these like non-competes against them.
Right. So I'm all about innovation, but when it comes to the food we eat, can we be a little more mindful and say, hey, we want to be able to eat things that are well-sourced, well-made, and also we can pronounce the name.
1,000%.
And we can digest them.
Yeah, and digest them properly. Aishwarya, I'm like obsessed with you. My community is the best. They always want me to ask my people, how can they help you? Are you hiring for roles? Do you have freelance work? Like, where can they follow you? Where can they buy it? Like, just like, what do you have going on?
Few things. We are launching at Whole Foods with our everyday line. We came out with an everyday cooking oil and an everyday salad oil, perfect for your salads, perfect for cooking. Both are launching at Whole Foods nationwide on August 15th.
Perfect timing for this episode.
Yay. Okay, amazing. So please go and buy it. It would mean the world to us. I also am really interested in late summer, like barbecues, picnics. So if you're a creator, no matter how many followers you have, and you want to do something with your friends, reach out to me on Instagram. I'm at Hello Aishwarya. And DM me being like, hey, I want to host a picnic or I want to host a little barbecue in my backyard. I'm thinking for this many people and we want to help you make that happen. And I really, really want to do that for people.
And where can people find you if you're online?
If I'm online and I haven't deleted Instagram that week or weekend, I'm at Hello Aishwarya on my personal. I'm at We Are Brightland is Brightlands.
Do you have a Substack yet?
I don't have a Substack, but I'm thinking about starting something at the intersection of spirituality and business.
Love it.
And talking about like a lot of the things that we just talked about, except like taking a theme from the meditation that I do and talking about how that applies to business.
Love it.
So I'm thinking about that, but we'll see. I'm also just living my life.
And
I'm
with a
enjoying
6-month-old little perfect baby girl.
Exactly.
Well, thank you so much for coming on. I'm
you.
so happy we did this.
Me
And
too.
everybody, please go follow, support, and send us pictures of your picnic because that's very HSR coded.
Yeah, seriously, DM me. Thank you so much, Maggie.
Bye, you
This is amazing.
guys.
Bye.